All right, hi everybody. So my name is Ashley Romero-Love. I am a senior at Durham School of the Arts, and my presentation is on how restrictive abortion laws impact the mental, physical, and financial well-being of low-income adolescents of color. So quick disclaimer, this project does contain discussion of death, abortion, suicide, and mental health. So for the agenda, we're going to go over my motivation and background, terminology, research question, methodology, findings, conclusions, limitations, and future directions. So for my motivation, I am an adolescent of color, and last year Roe v. Wade was overturned, and I wanted to see how the overturning of Roe v. Wade will impact the people in my community. I also started researching this project last year, and this camp, so it's online. You can check out my poster online. Quick plug. And yeah. So for my background, in the 1970s, Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey were ruled as a fundamental right to protect the federal protection of abortion rights. In 2022, Dobbs v. Jackson Supreme Court case overturned the fundamental rights of abortion. And in the 1970s, there is a thing called Hyde Amendment. It is a legislative provision barring the use of federal funds to pay for abortion except to save the life of a woman or if pregnancy arises from incest or rape. So what is unsafe abortion? Well, it's an abortion procedure that is performed by an unlicensed or untrained provider. The mother can also do this to themselves by drinking harmful liquids such as bleach and causing external and internal damages to their vaginal area. So unintended pregnancy is when it is unwanted and mistimed. Usually, like an example can be like a result from rape. And maternal mortality is a death of a mother who died from a pregnancy-related issue. So adolescence is a person from the age of 10 to 19, or in other words, growing from being a child to being an adult. And socioeconomic indicators is a combination of socioeconomic factors such as income, education level, and occupation. So for my research question, I researched on how restrictive abortion laws impact the physical, mental, and financial well-being of adolescents of color. So for my thesis statement, I have that restrictive abortion laws throughout the U.S. disproportionately impact the financial, mental, and physical well-being of low-income adolescents of color by increasing the rates of maternal mortality, unsafe abortion, and unintended pregnancies brought to term. So for my methodology, I used 15 articles to make my research, which makes this a literature review research. My main search engine was Google Scholar, and my terms that I used to on Google Scholar was abortion rates in North Carolina, unintended pregnancies, adolescent pregnancies, and the financial impact of pregnancy. So for the scope of this research, I only focused on the restrictive abortion laws in North Carolina, just to like hit it close to home, because I know that will cause a great impact. For my findings, I searched on how abortion bans impact the maternal mortality rates. So there are approximately 529,000 maternal deaths that occur yearly worldwide. And in this graph shows that people of color make up a higher percentage of deaths before and after the ban of abortion. And while white people have a greater share of abortions, they still make up a lower percentage of increased maternal deaths after the abortion ban. So for adolescent pregnancies, 16 to 44% of them suffer from depression, in which 20% of them endure suicidal thoughts, and 9% of them actually do try to attempt suicide. One physical factor of adolescent pregnancy is that there is a constant nutritional fight between the mother and the child, because the adolescent mother is still growing. They still need the nutrition to be able to grow, but so does the baby. This graph shows that there are more than 50% of women less than the age of 25 that don't know they're pregnant until 5 to 9 plus weeks of pregnancy. So for the financial, before Roe v. Wade, there were many women who couldn't afford legal abortion, in which they used unsafe abortion methods to meet their needs. Post-abortion care does cost $23 to $564 per person, and for anybody who suffers from infection and result of an unsafe abortion is $51,000 per case. And medical care centers use approximately $6.4 billion yearly to take care of these mothers who had an unsafe abortion performed. And these finances that we use can be used for other medical emergencies, because unsafe abortion is a preventable maternal mortality. Sorry. So for the graph, I wanted to show that, like my last graph, more than 50% of people who are pregnant to 5 to 9 plus weeks don't find out they're pregnant in that term. And I wanted to share that North Carolina has a 12-week termination, and South Carolina has a 6-week termination. And if the mother finds out they're pregnant 9 plus weeks, it'll be hard for the mother to find a safe place to have an abortion. And in South Carolina, if they find out they're pregnant at 9 plus weeks, it's too late to have a safe abortion. We'll probably have to travel to a different state, which will cause them a lot of financial burden. For limitations in my future directions, I wanted to share that for future research, I hope to conduct information on how restrictive abortion affects low-income countries and how they responded to the high mortality rates within their country. One solution to this problem is to provide financial support for low-income adolescents of color who need to obtain an abortion for health reasons. That includes travel expenses, paying for a safe abortion, and post-abortion care for any unsafe abortion effects. So for my conclusion, I found that low-income adolescents of color have greater restrictions when it comes to abortion after the banning of the abortion. There will be an increased rate of unsafe abortion and maternal mortality rates within the low-income minority groups. Low-income adolescents of color are impacted mentally, physically, and financially due to restrictive abortion laws. And I wanted to thank Duke University for letting us scholars use their marvelous campus for this presentation tonight, and also throughout the whole entire camp 3 weeks. I wanted to thank Hank and Billy Suber and Young Scholars Summer Research Institute for giving me this opportunity to conduct this research, and my cohort 2 teachers and interns for making this possible and helping me a lot to my presentation. Thank you. Are there any questions? No? All right. Thank you.